Hey, we're Kurt and Denette Share with the Broken for Better podcast.
Yeah, and together we're on a mission to equip and empower marriages. We want to strengthen families for everyday life.
Enjoy the episode. Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about all things marriage coaching. What is marriage coaching? How do we do it? What do couples get out of it? All things marriage coaching, and I'm real excited to do it.
So, you're real excited to do it. Do you actually enjoy coaching more than you ever thought you would?
I absolutely do. Yeah.
What's
I
your
absolutely
highlight?
do. For me, I think the highlight is just seeing that switch flip for a couple that literally starts changing direction. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
This is your bread and butter. You actually talked about it on a previous podcast, like
Yeah.
how much you enjoy this.
Yes, absolutely.
When you talk about marriage coaching or family counseling or marriage therapy, marriage counseling, whatever that looks like, do you believe that you getting help is a sign that things are majorly in trouble?
I think that's normally the stigma of the couples that we see come in, or even the couples that we have that just want to do a tune up, or maybe they're struggling with communication, or they're just not happy with the route that their marriage is kind of headed, or they want to do, get new tools. I think that's usually the stigma. There's so many conversations that we have in those like free consultation welcome calls where the couples are like, I don't know if this means we're like way in over our heads or if we're, headed for divorce. I think that's the stigma that if you need coaching or if you want coaching, that your marriage is totally broken. And I fully 100% disagree.
Yeah, I love the couples that come in and it's always like, this is it. We're done. It's over. We're not compatible. Like everything that they tell us. And then
Yeah.
after a couple weeks, it's like, oh no, we're out dating. We love each other. Like this thought of because we're going to get help, this is over and doomed. When the reality is, no, you're not even close to that.
Right. Well, and then we have some couples that are like almost like want to know, is that what this means if we are asking for help? Does that mean we're doomed? And you're
And we
like,
yes,
no.
yes.
We're like, no, no,
No, we think it's the biggest thing. I love that you were like, no, no.
no. Yeah.
No, it's the biggest thing to us. Like man, you're getting help. You're so far above many others that don't.
You know what's crazy is this month is the start of, or we've been watching some of the Olympics, right? In Paris, you've got the swimmers and you got the gymnastics, which is like my favorite thing to watch. But every single one of these absolutely just unbelievable extreme pro athletes have coaches. They're the best of the best in the absolute world. They're the fastest, they're the fittest, and yet they still have someone speaking into their life that's saying, hey, you might want to tweak this just a little bit. Or hey, you missed this just a smidge. Let's try a different tool. And I just think that that's so compelling to when it comes to our marriages. Do we do the same thing and think of it the same way?
We have said for a long time now, there are coaches for everything.
Right, everything.
Business, financial, marriage, relationship, sex coach. I mean, there's a coach for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times we don't get coaches for our marriage. So help me out because we said coaches a lot, actually.
A lot.
We've said it a lot. Tell me the difference of coaches and counselors.
Yeah, so there might be differences even with some other coaches, but the way that we see it as coaches is, a lot of times counseling is going to talk about past trauma, which we do touch on. But a lot of times you talk about how you're feeling and moving through what's kind of going on internally with your brain. Coaching is a little different in the aspect that you're getting tools to put in place that week to actually try to change behavior in your relationship when it comes to how do I see my spouse? What am I viewing? Am I looking at this the wrong way? And put those tools in place to try new behaviors also. And it's like homework. Every week there's going to be homework. There's going to be tools put in place. Going back to that athlete mentality, let's refocus. Let's change a couple things and see if you have a better outcome. That's how how I typically see coaching versus counseling. It's just a different mindset when you come into the room, knowing that I'm not coming in just to talk about how I feel, because we do have a lot of couples that say we've been to counseling before, and I just felt like all we did was cry the whole time and talk about our feelings. And I don't think that that's typical for all counseling sessions. I think a lot of counselors give tools also, but in our room, we're trying to give actual tools. When they leave that place, they're going to be doing things differently, hopefully that week that they came in doing than they came in doing.
Yeah. And I would probably say most counselors would probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
I think from my experience, the counselors f- far more educated into sciences and behaviors and
Mhm.
medications and things of that nature on how to get outcomes for deep seated pain.
Right.
We even have times in our coaching room that we have to look at clients and go, "Hey, listen, we love you enough that you need to go see a counselor. Like
Absolutely.
you got to they got to get in deeper than we are." Okay.
Right.
When I think about when I coached baseball and basketball and things like that, coaches, I felt my job was, or even coaches that were in my world when I played baseball, it was, "Hey, Kurt, I'm watching you, and yeah, you're hitting the ball, and you're hitting, you got a great average, great on base average. You're doing really well, but man, I think I'm seeing from where my vantage point is that you're stepping in the bucket. Like
Yeah.
your front foot is going out. You're stepping out just a little bit, and so it's causing you to open up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I couldn't see that where I was at. So like, okay, well, let's try here. Let me mark the ground. Put your foot on here. Step to this line. Step to this line. Oh wow, now you're staying close. You're driving the ball. Wow, that's great that you saw that. Shout out Coach Marson or Coach Carson. Rock and fire, rock and fire.
Rock and far.
Sam Carter, boy, he was the best coach. But because he could see it from his vantage point.
Yeah.
What I love about us and being coaches for a lot of couples now is you come in, and because you're so caught up in the tension or the pace of life, the hardships of life,
Or the
the
emotions
dark
even.
spots, the emotion,
Yeah.
because you're so caught up in it, you can't get a 30,000-foot view to go, "Oh wait, this is what I see.
Mhm.
This is what I wait." And I love one of the great things, like when you let someone talk and you actively listen, someone will share, and then all you have to do is say, "Wait, did you hear yourself when you the way you just said that?"
Yeah.
And I love when they laugh like that, and they're like, "I did, and that didn't sound like what I thought, but that's what I've been saying."
Right.
And it's crazy because you just sit from that outside. So coaching is that thought of going, "Okay, listen, from where you're sitting and your knowledge and your education and your experience,
Mhm.
what do you see in us?
Mhm.
Where do you see us going wrong? Help me with that." And I just absolutely love it.
Yeah. So the couple that, let's say they're on the fence, maybe they've been having some real struggles in their relationship. They have some barrier that they just, or trauma, or something that they just not have, they've not been able to get past. And they decide, hey, I want to get some marriage coaching. What does that look like when they make that decision? And obviously, we're talking about from our perspective, they reach out, but what does that look like from the very first thought to moving forward, coming into the office? What does that look like for someone that might be
Oh, you
wondering?
mean like a day in the life
A
of?
day in the life of scheduling marriage
We should have been at
coaching.
our center and been like, "Come in.
Yeah,
Let us show you our center."
I think we're gonna do a video like that soon. So, yes. Yes.
Well, I think the first part of it is when a couple goes, "We need help."
Yeah.
You come to this place where you go, "Hey, it's so dark and it's not easy. It's not fun. It's not what we signed up for. We want
Mm.
somebody to help us." That's To me, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
That you're willing to expose yourself, get vulnerable, get open, and let someone in your world. That's the hardest part. Now, from then, like for our system, we can't speak to anybody's system but ours. Ours is we do a virtual call, right? You go online, you book a virtual session, we talk about it. Then we determine, are we a good fit
Mhm.
for your marriage?
Right.
The reality is, if you come in with infidelity, you come in with verbal and emotional abuse, you come in with communication problems, you come in with, sex issues, you come in things like that, We might be very good because we walked and navigated and had to heal and get help in all of that.
Right.
So we may be great coaches for you. You walk in and it not be our scenario,
Mhm.
then we might have to be honest enough to go, "Hey, that's not us, but you need to go to someone else."
That's not our specialty, which
Uh,
which again goes back to that coaching mentality, because 'cause you're not gonna go to a baseball coach if you're trying to learn how to do gymnastics, right? So you wanna go to the right coach and
right.
make sure that you're going to a coach that's gonna be beneficial to you and your circumstances.
So, we do the virtual call, we find out, wow, we love you, you think we're okay. And so it it goes on. And then we just talk about packages. So we offer packages the way we do it: 3 session, 6 session, and 12 session packages. Those are in 90 days. So typically, if you're in a place where you go, hey, we have a great marriage, but we just are looking for tools, encouragement, help in this one area, you
Mhm.
might be a great candidate for like a 3 session package,
Mhm.
meet once a month, right? And then you follow back up, get some tools to work on that month. We'll see you in a month.
Right.
Do that 3 times and we call it a day.
Yeah.
You may be in a little more tenser situation. Hey, communication is not really good. It's really on edge and things really aren't good around our house. So we want to see you more. So we'll see you every other week. Go home, work on some things for a couple weeks. We'll see you. So you get 6 sessions in 90 days.
Mhm.
And then the last one we would call a little more, probably a little more critical situation where communication is really bad. Separation is imminent, like it's coming. There's a lot of tension. We cannot get clarity. We can't go long periods of time without fighting and arguing. We would call those a little more critical, and we would meet with you once a week,
Right.
one for an hour, once a week. So you have this 3 session, 6 session, and 12 session package.
Mhm.
We sign that up. We do the whole non-disclosure stuff, confidentiality stuff, sign all the paperwork, and then you just come to the office, man. It's very super simple for out here in Wesley Chapel. We walk in, we put a cloak on you and we paint your face, and then we give you that special hat that you have to wear.
Made with tinfoil. No.
It's no, it's super simple. You come in and we sit across from each other just like this. And then it's like, honestly, and this is the way our vibe is.
Mhm.
And this may be different than a vibe you've ever had. We tried to make our room feel like a living room.
Right, yeah.
So we love kicking it together,
Mhm.
being on the couch, watching TV, talking. That's good for us.
Mhm.
What we wanted our room to feel like is a safe place that you could come in and you feel at home.
Right.
So you come in, you sit down, and then it's like 4 friends having a
Yeah.
conversation.
Mhm.
We try to make it, for us, very inviting to where you feel like you're with family immediately.
Right, yeah.
The more at ease you feel and the more comfortable you feel with us, the more vulnerable, authentic you'll be quicker.
Absolutely.
So now we're just doing life together. This
Mhm.
is not, these are my coaches or these are my, this is, no, we're just doing life.
Mhm.
We may be a little farther down the highway. We walked through some things. We navigated some things. We went to some school on some things. We got some education in some things. Let us come alongside you.
Yeah.
We do that for however many times you signed up. And then it's just that simple. Each time, though, like every time you leave, we're going to give you a tool. Like you're going to go home and you're going to work on this week.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, and I know some of the ones we love are watching this. Sometimes the tool's not put in play. Sometimes the tool is forgotten about, or it was a terrible week, and so we didn't do the tool.
Yeah. Very true.
Okay.
Very true.
Well, we know the tool works.
Mhm.
We've get done it enough now. We've done it in our own life. We know the tool works.
Mhm.
So our practice is, hey, we're not going to leave to another week until we get this tool down pat.
Yeah. What's crazy is in hearing you say that, because we have had couples that, have maybe not used the tools correctly or have chosen, to not use the tools for whatever. Um, what are some are there anything is there anything that someone is, like, not eligible, or you would say this coaching isn't a great thing for you, maybe you need some other help before you get coaching?
Yeah.
Is there anything that, because we do have couples that reach out sometimes, and there's some things that aren't ready to be coached on? What would some of those things be that would be hard
Well,
to
it's not
coach
that they're
through?
not ready to be coached on as much as we may not be the ones to do it.
Yeah,
Um, if there is active addiction
right.
to substance, uh, medications, active addictions to
Mhm.
substances and things, that's beyond us.
Yeah,
There's a chemical thing going on that you need a counselor who specializes in addictive to substances.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
If there's actual abuse going on,
correct.
that's a safety issue. You need to call the law. You don't
Correct.
need coaches in your world trying to help. That's a physical thing. That's not
Absolutely.
um and then the other one that I would say, if if adultery is ongoing, if it's continual,
Right.
like, not a repetitive heart, not I've stopped and I want to fix, but no, I'm doing this. I'm going to continue to do this, but
Yeah.
I need my relationship better. That's not going to be our thing either.
Yeah, I would also add in there abandonment because we have
Yeah.
couples that have reached out. One party reaches out and says, "I really want my marriage to work," but there's only one party that's willing to focus on the marriage. And unfortunately, with marriage coaching, there has to be two.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds kind of funny, but like there's a lot of people that there's one person that really wants to do the work and the other person that does not want to do the work.
Sure, we
And
have those, and
yeah,
so we do have people that we are alongside of, that unfortunately we're doing more life coaching than we
right.
are marriage
Marriage
or
coaching.
relationship coaching.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, eh, abandonment, any of those things may be in play,
Right.
and you still need someone in your world going, "Hey, listen, let me tell you what I see. Let me speak truth at you because your whole world's dark." So you
Exactly.
still need these things. We just wouldn't call that marriage coaching. That would be more life coaching, more on a one-on-one basis. But that's a kind of a different path,
Yeah.
depending on
No.
what the story is,
For
what the
sure.
scenario is.
Absolutely. Another thing that I think we see a lot of questions is the fear that a coach or counselor is going to take my spouse's side. Like they've been a part of counseling before, they've been a part of, maybe even like help from a pastor and the party takes one side or the other instead of trying to help both parties. And that can be something that people are very scared of,
Well, that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know that we knew this at first.
Mhm.
I mean, we're two best friends who absolutely love each other, who have walked through hell together, and we've been able to see a redemptive side.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we were like, man, we've done this together, we've learned, we've grown, we've gotten help together. Now let's go do this together. But I think having us both in the room, that that's not a play with us because you and I are there.
Right.
And when I love it. Love it. I'm always a guy, and dudes know this, like, I'm
Mhm.
always the guy to just you may like what I say, you may hate what I say, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's okay too. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I love when a guy says something, I mean, like a grown man. Like, he's a grown ass man. And and he says something, and my wife goes, "Oh, hold on. No, stop. I'm not okay with that." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh, bro, you stepped in it. Oh,
Well,
bro."
I usually lean forward first. I
Uh,
have to adjust in my chair, like, "Let me pray through this moment that I'm about." Like, "Did you hear what you just said to your wife?
but
Let's take a
here's
moment."
but this is why I love it,
Yeah.
because I'm also the one sitting in a room when a woman says something disrespectful to her husband,
Correct.
and I'm going, "No, time out. I'm sitting right here, and that was the most, disrespectful thing you could have ever said to a guy."
Right, yeah.
Like, and so I think it really gives this vantage point of there's safety in this room because there's someone of my sex that's going to see and hear it and feel it, and they're gonna speak truth to me either way.
Yeah.
It's been a real, real benefit for us.
It really
Real benefit.
has, and it's crazy because, e as you're speaking, not only do I think it's beneficial for us to have, like, a male and a female, a wife and a husband in the room giving two different perspectives. But it's like, as you're talking, there's enough time for the other party to be perceiving, discerning, gathering our thoughts and hearing the entire conversation. It's going up to that 30,000-foot view going,
Mm.
okay, this is what you said. Did you hear what that actually felt like in this room as you said it to this spouse of yours that God has blessed you with, right? Yeah.
Let me
We've
ask
had
you, here's a question.
Okay.
Here's a question. Do you find yourself as a coach? You're gonna get real right here on this podcast.
Oh boy.
As a coach, we have heard some crazy things.
We have.
Do you find yourself judging or judgmental as a coach in
Mm.
those settings?
Oh, to be real, I gotta keep my heart in check sometimes, but, um, I judgmental, I think, is a hard word. I think more than judgmental, I feel hurt for them.
Yeah.
I think as I hear them talk about their darkest moments, sometimes it's easy to go, "Oh, you shouldn't say that," or, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." But when you hear how they got there and you're able to see the hurt and the trauma or the woundedness that they've brought into the circumstance, I think there's more of a sadness and a grace that you just want them to also see what this benefit of having a healthy marriage looks like.
Yeah.
You wanna see them fight hell to, like, actually see that gift that is sitting across from them instead of just seeing them as the enemy, you know?
Yeah, I love the way that you said that, because it's been crazy. Like I said, we've heard some pretty shocking stories.
Of course.
Some are shocking. Um, and it's very interesting to me how I can hear stories that I think would years ago would have turned me sideways, that I just find myself in the most empathetic state
Yeah,
to go, "Oh my gosh, my heart breaks that they're here." So judgmental and judging the situation, like that doesn't even cross my brain.
yeah,
I just am like so heartbroken at how they got there. I'm like, okay, now I want to speak truth to you. A
right.
lot of lies have got you to this place. Perfect. I'm not judging you. We're here, but your tomorrow doesn't have to look like your yesterday.
Yeah, and I think also what's crazy for me is seeing the couples. I think the hardest part for me is the couples that they feel like they're about to share this thing with you, and they feel like no one else could ever be where we are. Like, no one else could be walking through what we're walking through.
Mm,
No one else will understand what we've been through. And just to say, "Man, you are not alone."
yeah.
Like, we literally are sitting with couple after couple that are walking through so many similar things. The nuances might be a little different, the timelines might be a little different, the stories of how you got there might be a little different, but it is not you're not alone. It's so common in marriage. Marriage is hard. You're taking two different people and blending them, and so it's trying to point out those strengths and the weaknesses and encouraging the other person to also empower their spouse's strengths and weaknesses. Yeah.
Here's a question. This was gonna throw you for a left hook.
You just said that about the last one.
No, that was an easy one.
Okay.
Tell me the funniest thing you've heard in coaching.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't say who.
Okay, I'm not gonna say names.
I just tell me the funniest thing you heard.
Okay, there's a couple.
There are a couple.
There's a couple. Probably one of the funniest ones was talking about intimacy. They'd been struggling with intimacy, and they said, "Well, and except for when we were on the cruise, because on the cruise, boom, boom, be in session."
Yeah.
I was I gotta remember that one because so every now and then I'll be like, "Boom, boom."
Meanwhile,
I could
I left and booked a cruise immediately. I'm like, on a cruise, boom, boom, be in
boom,
session.
boom, be in
That
session.
was hysterical.
Hysterical. That was so funny.
That was-
We've heard a lot, though. We've heard a lot. Some I
I
probably
think one of the
wouldn't say
ones
on
that
here.
was funniest to me that I'll always remember is when one of them looked at me and went like, "Do you know how we met?" Like, "No, how did y'all meet?" "We met," and they told me this app that they met on, and I was like we sat there for like 5 minutes all laughing because I'm like, "Are you
He
serious?"
swiped right.
He didn't swipe right. He sat right there and double tapped,
Oh, okay. I don't know
literally.
okay. I don't know what that means. Moving on. Okay, moving on. Will my private thoughts be exposed? Is a question
Yeah.
that
I think
you
it's a
could see.
fear, it's not
It's
a
a
question.
fear,
Yeah.
yeah. When a couple comes in and they're like, "What if this person reads my mail? What if this person sees more than I want them to see?" What if, so how do you handle that as a coach? How do we handle that as a coach when a couple comes in and that's a fear. That's
First
an
off,
absolute
you
fear.
hope they see more.
Hmm.
You hope that they can read your mail because only in honesty and authenticity are they actually gonna be able to give you what you need to heal
Yeah.
and get better. So if you're not honest and open and they don't know your mail, then you're not gonna get the true healing that you need.
Yeah.
Now will your thoughts be exposed? I'll be really honest as a coach who hears a lot.
Mhm.
Uh, when I leave a session with someone, I walk out a door and that session stays right there in that room.
Well, we have to do that
Like,
often,
I
yeah.
got a life that I wanna live. Like, I don't
Right.
wanna take that home to you, and so, me being out here exposing your private life and thoughts and who you are and what you're about,
We don't got time for
I ain't
that.
got time for that. Like, that I may talk about Boom Boom being back in session because that's funny. Like, that's funny, funny. But even still, you would know whoever said that and they
Yeah.
would laugh.
Yeah.
They laughed at the thing, but, it's kinda like this thing of I think the enemy will allow us to deal with so much fear
Yes.
that we never take a step,
Right.
and fear will cripple us to going and getting help because we're so concerned or so worried or I heard one time or my friend told me or like all the different things. I mean, legally you can't do that stuff anyway.
Of course.
But if fear is stopping you, you just have to know how would that who operates in fear.
Yeah. And what's crazy is so many couples or so many not even couples, sometimes an individual will want to keep those thoughts at bay. And I'm like, man, you're literally wasting time, right? Like they'll maybe wait till 3 or 4 sessions in to also expose something that they're really struggling with.
Mm,
And it's like, as a coach, you just want them to say, man, when you come to us, it would be so much more beneficial to say, hey, here's my junk. I really need help sorting it. Instead of, I want to keep these thoughts hidden. I want to
mm,
keep these things in it. And we have those moments where that hidden thought, sometimes it's not even them wanting to keep it hidden. Sometimes there's some deep seated things that kind of comes out that they didn't even realize they were holding on to for so long. And there's a benefit in that too. But knowing yourself and knowing, man, I don't want to protect myself so much or go into protection mode so much that I'm actually not doing what I came here to do.
you know, uh, and I'll tell you, we actually saw in the past. We met with a couple for weeks.
Mhm.
They were working tools. We were making progress. Like things were happening.
Right.
And I'll never forget in like session 8 or 9, towards the end of the session,
Mhm.
one of them unloads this bomb that they had been feeling.
Their
Their whole
whole
marriage
marriage, yeah.
just dumped a bomb in the room.
Mhm.
And I remember the awkwardness of like, uh oh, like the session's over. People are walking in. You're walking out. We can't even, uh oh. And then we real quickly had to process through this real fast, give some tools of okay, now that you've heard this. But I remember it was a bomb, and and I'm telling you, I remember from that session forward,
Different.
it was a completely different couple.
100% different.
We could not believe, but we had gone 8 sessions
Mhm.
making little steps, little steps, little steps. And in the eighth session, he decides to unload this truth, and it just kicked the doors wide open to their healing.
Which goes along with, I think, everything in human nature is to run or push back on those things that are really hard, right? Like, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's try to let's just thrive or not thrive. Let's just survive instead of thrive. And then just like, man, there's these big, heavy things sometimes that are in the hearts of individuals that we've got to dig out
Mm,
so that, it's like pulling the top of a weed off, it just keeps growing back and growing back and growing back.
is that right?
And it's like, man, we gotta get to the roots. We gotta get to the roots. But yeah. So yeah, I would say that's exactly what you want is exposure. Full exposure.
Let's say marriage is excellent.
Mhm.
Do you think it's worth it?
I think everyone can utilize a coach. I think we've benefited as we're coaching other couples going and getting help. I think we've benefited by going and seeking out new ways to, train to help, but what we are doing in the process is making sure that our marriage is healthy. And I would like to say, especially with all the things we've faced as a couple and all the trauma, like crazily enough, we are the healthiest we've ever been. And yet we're still looking for ways to better
Yeah.
our relationship. And so um we don't want to just be coaches that are like you need to have coaches. We want to be the ones that are receiving as well. So
Yeah.
we're very intentional
I want somebody looking
about
me
doing
in the
that.
face
Right.
and
I do
like
too.
punching me in the mouth
Me
of,
too.
hey,
Punch him. Punch him in the face. No, I'm
oh,
kidding.
not for you.
For me. Just for you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But am I? No.
But yeah, right. I'm just playing. You know, but I am that guy. Like I
Yeah.
want that because
Yeah.
I get so caught up with me, like so caught up at Kurt and
Yeah.
Kurt's world and what Kurt wants and where Kurt wants to go that somebody on the outside going, bro, when's the last time you took your wife out on a date?
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. And what your definition of date and mine are different things, but we'll talk about that.
Yes, yes. So if someone was to come and say, "Hey, okay, I hear you. Maybe I will give y'all a shot, or I'll give somebody else a shot." How how do you know your method our methods work? If someone was to say, "How do I know that what I'm going to get anything out of this?"
Mm.
What would you say to that person that's like, "Do your methods work? Like, where's the proof?"
Uh, we're sitting here 28 years later
Hmm.
from operating in every single one of them,
It's absolutely true.
all in different seasons of our life, all in different seasons of our marriage, different stages,
Yeah.
different high points and different low points, but we don't teach anything that we don't do.
Yeah.
And so, why I say I know they work is because I've done them and I know they work.
Right.
Now, there are tons of different
Scenario
come
notes.
on, you can do it. Scenario nodes? What's a scenario
Scenarios.
node? What's a There's tons of different scenarios and situations and past and families and like there's so much to every story.
Right.
But at the base of relationships, there's only a few core things.
Absolutely.
And with two hearts that strive and desire for healing,
Mm.
wholeness, and help, the tools work.
Yeah. And for the person that wonders if it's worth it, everything has a cost attached. So is it worth it to, either get a coach or go to therapy or get someone in your circle? And it's like, where do you place value?
Mm,
What's valuable to you? Everything has a cost. I actually just had an intro call, a welcome call for someone that was wanting to start some coaching. And she said, I know what it's going to cost us if we don't get help.
mm,
And so for me, it's worth the cost of investing in my spouse because I want to have this person as my future. I want this person to be the father of my
yeah.
children. And so it's what's the cost? The cost is invaluable. It's a matter of investing in what's important to you. And so
Everything has a price.
yeah.
Everything has a price. You just have to determine, are you willing to pay the price? And are you getting what you paid for?
Hmm.
Everything has a price, though.
Yeah.
For a marriage to thrive, it has a price. For a marriage to be terrible, there was a price paid.
Mhm.
Everything has one. So,
Yeah.
listen, we love you. We encourage you. Marriage coaches, you could check us out on brokenforbetter.com, set up a call. We'd love to come alongside you.
Mhm.
It's what we do. We've been blessed. But we may not be the ones either.
That's right.
And we just encourage you, find a marriage or relationship coach that best suits you and your spouse.
That's right.
Because everybody needs a coach.
That's right. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, we encourage you, check us out on all of our socials at Broken for Better for more ways you can be plugged in.
Yes, and if we can help you or your family with anything like coaching or other resources, please connect with us at brokenforbetter.com.